A lesson learned of Paul Krugman, International Trade and New Geographic Economy, Nobel Prize winner of 2008, by Andri Oktavhausen Lubis. What makes Germany the biggest exporter of cars, at the same time import a large number of them? Why is international trade still growing? Why are people moving to large cities, leaving the populated rural areas behind? These are Paul Krugman's achievements that answers those such questions. A Nobel Prize winner in economics in 2008. Thanks to his research on international trade and economic geography, Krugman delivers important explanations of today's patterns of economic activities. International trade and location of economic activities have always constituted important field in economic research. Today, we still try to find satisfactory answer to topics connected to free trade, globalization, and urbanization. This video is about Paul Krugman himself, the famous researcher and economist. Then his contribution to the revolution of international trade theory. And finally, another important area of his research, that is new geographic economy.
Who is Paul Krugman? Paul Rudy Krugman is an American economist, distinguished professor of economics at the Graduate Center of the University of New York. He was previously a professor of economics at MIT and later at Princeton University.
As of 2016, research papers in economics rank him as the world's 24th most influential economist based on citations of his work. Krugman has written over 20 books and has published over 200 scholarly articles in professional journals. He has also contributed more than 750 columns on economic and political issues to the New York Times, Fortune, and Slate. In 2008, Krugman was awarded the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Science for his contributions to new trade theory and new economic geography. The prize committee cited Krugman's work explaining the patterns of international trade and the geographic distribution of economic activity by examining the effects of economies of scale and of consumer preferences for diverse goods and services.
International trade theory. The evolution of trade theories starts from mercantilism theory between the year of 15th century to 17th century until the latest Porter's diamond theory in the end of 19th century. In Krugman's analysis, he compares the Ricardo's comparative advantage theory with his new trade theory. The principle of comparative advantage theory states that a country should specialize in producing and exporting products in which it has comparative cost advantage compared with other countries, and they should import those goods which it has a comparative disadvantage. On the other hand, the principle of Krugman new trade theory states that the ability of countries to gain economies of scale where unit cost reduction associated with a large scale of output can have important implications for the international trade. Countries may specialize in production and export of particular products because in certain industries, the world market can only support a limited number of firms.
What was the old trade theory? Countries are different. They have different levels of productivity in particular industries. They have different resources, and those differences drive trade. The old trade theories iterated that every country had a comparative advantage over others in the form of a good or service that could be produced at a lower cost than by any other country. The new trade theory starts with the observation that while this explains a lot of world trade, it also misses a lot. France and Germany sell lots of stuff to each other, even though they have similar climates and resources. So do the United States and Canada. Why this happens? The answer is that there are many goods that aren't depend on climate. But like wide-bodied jet aircraft, there are enormous economies of scale. The aircraft factories, or the factory producing its specialized kind of machine tool, have to be somewhere, and thus countries that get the factories exports jet, while everyone else imports them. It might be better for the country to import such goods from another country in order to better specialize in other products and attain economies of scale. That is, achieve a higher rate of production at a lower cost. Another element of trade theory is that firms who have the advantage of being an early entrant can become a dominant firm in the market. This means that in these global industries with very large economies of scale, there is likely to be limited competition, with the market dominated by first mover, leading to a form of monopolistic competition. New trade theory recognized that because comparative advantage could be attributed to market and government-created factors as well, it is often in the best interest of countries to protect emerging industries. Domestic subsidization of tariff production would allow developing industries in developing countries to eventually exploit economies of scale and be competitive within the global market.
New economic geography. Towards the end of the 20th century, the geographic dimension of the economy was fading away. Paul Krugman's greatest merit is the bring back of this dimension into economic mainstream. Krugman's works had a profound and detrimental effect on the one-point economy that is still dominant in economics. According to Krugman, geographic economy, exactly in order to become new, because the economic geography are integrated into classical trends and theoretical models, which are, in addition to the classical theory of localization, highly rely on the new growth and new trade theory trends as well. Many economic activities are markedly concentrated geographically.
A decade after the original new trade, Krugman started thinking about what happens when some economic resources, especially labor and capital, can move. In the old trade theory, factor mobility was a substitute for trade. If factories and industrial workers can move freely, they are spread out to be close to the farmers, and neither food nor manufactured goods will have to be shipped long distance. But in the economies of scale world, Krugman had been studying the centrifugal effect of widely dispersed resources, which tends to push economic activity into spreading out, would be opposed by the centripetal pull of access to large markets, which tend to promote concentration of economic activity. Krugman brings increasing returns together with capital and labor migration and transport costs in one model. To minimize transport costs, for example, firms want to locate near consumers, but consumers want to locate near their work. Thus, there are multiple equilibria, and at a tipping point, the location decision of a single firm or customer can snowball into big effects. Krugman has been a leader in introducing tipping points and network effects. The good example is Henry Ford and his T model. He could have established many factories spread across the country to be close to his customers. Instead of that, however, he found that it was worth incurring extra shipping costs to achieve the economies of scale of one big factory in Michigan. So, once you're concentrating production in a limited number of locations, which locations will you choose? If you choose the locations where there's a large market, if the centripetal force are strong enough, you'll get a cumulative process. Regions that for historical reason have a head start as centers of production will attract even more producers, becoming the economic core while other areas become the periphery. The This model then well known as Krugman core periphery model. This model also the reason of why US manufacturing belt could happen.
That's all the lesson learned from Paul Krugman's Nobel Prize winner. Thank you.